Alright, so real quick before the video starts, I know that the full length of the clip is about 17-18 minutes or so, but you can definitely watch it in 2x because I made sure to go over every single detail and edge case, which if everything works fine, you can kind of ignore. And if ever you encounter any difficulties within the tutorial, you can just simply play the video in 1x and listen to what I was saying at that particular moment in time. This video is going to teach you how to install JetUML as an executable application on your Mac. So by the end of this video, you're basically going to have an application as you see on my screen called JetUML. And when you press on it, the software should just automatically open. So to get started, I'm just going to delete off my computer. So the first thing that you're going to go ahead and do is install Java in your terminal. To check whether or not Java is installed, if you're not sure, just open up the terminal and type in java --version, enter. And if you get this message, you have Java, you're good. However, make sure that the version is correct. So for those who have Java on your computer, make sure that the number over here is greater than 17 because JetUML requires you to have Java 17 or above. So make sure to go ahead and update it. For those who don't have Java and have an error message when they type this in their terminal, you can go ahead and find another YouTube video online on how to install Java. It's not particularly difficult. I'll link one in the description, but just make sure to go ahead and do that before proceeding. So now once Java is installed, the second step of the process is going to be to download the jar file from the GitHub repo. So we're going to come to this link, which is at the top of the page. I'm going to link it at the bottom of the description. You're going to open this GitHub repository and navigate to the very bottom. And here you're going to see assets. And from the assets, you're going to have to install the JetUML 3.8.jar. Once you've pressed on it, it should download over here. And you can just drag it on your desktop. For the purpose of the tutorial, I'm going to just have everything be done on my desktop. But if you want to organize files in a different manner, I'm going to talk about that later in the video. So once the jar file is installed, you're going to try to open it. You're going to press on it. And you should get this error message. And it's basically telling you how Mac doesn't trust the software you downloaded from the internet, which is fair enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to bypass it by opening the settings, navigating to privacy and security right here, and make sure that you press on it and try to open it. And if you got that error message, then you're good because you're going to come here in privacy and set security, and over here you should see this message at the bottom, which is JetUML was blocked to protect your Mac. You're going to press on open anyway, and then you're going to press on open anyway, and then you're going to type in your password or just Touch ID, whatever you want. Now everything should be good. Obviously, JetUML hasn't appeared on the screen, and it shouldn't for you neither. If it does, it's a bit strange. But now that you've trusted the jar file on your computer, we're going to proceed to the next step, which is basically going to be to go to gluonhq.com or to the link that you can see at the top. Again, I'm going to link this page in the description, so you can just navigate to this link. And we're going to basically install JavaFX. So from the top of the page, you're just going to go down. And over here, you're going to see macOS for this operating system. And you're going to download the SDK type. Do not download the chmod type. Make sure to download the SDK type specifically. So you're just going to go ahead and download it. And now you're just going to wait for the installation to complete. Once it's installed, for the purpose of the tutorial, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to put it on the desktop. Now, at this point in the video, it's important to note that if you want to have a folder on your computer called JetUML setup and throw these two items within it, you can completely do that. That's what I'm going to do for the tutorial. But it's important to do this right now rather than at the end, because if you follow the full tutorial on the desktop and then at the end of the video you decide to move everything into another folder, it won't work anymore because we're going to input path files and everything's going to mess up. So make sure at this point to put all your folders, all the files that I'm going to make in wherever folder you want on your computer. It doesn't matter where it is, but just make sure to do this right now. So if you want to move the jar file in a specific folder, go ahead and do that right now. For the purpose of the tutorial, I'm going to create a new folder and call it JetUML setup, for example. And then I'm going to input all these files. And now once the file was created, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to test on the command line to see if we're able to open JetUML. So we're going to go back to Safari and we're going to go back to the GitHub repository, but this time we're going to navigate and we're going to go down. We're going to go on installation on macOS and you're going to press on launched on ThinJar. Once you open that, there's going to be two lines of code. I'm pretty sure they're the same, but I'm not entirely certain. I'm just going to copy the first one, and I recommend you do so as well if you're on Mac. And then you're going to go in and go into the command line and paste it. You're going to paste this line of code. Now, there are two things that we're going to modify for this to work. First one, very important. Oh, actually, I forgot an important step. Sorry. I forgot an important step. When you open the terminal, make sure to navigate to the folder in which you put the jar file. So, to clarify, as you can see, my jar file is on my desktop inside of the JetUML setup folder. And when you open the folder, the jar file is there. So make sure to navigate to this folder in the command line. So I'll show you guys how to do this on my device. For you, it's going to be slightly different on where you put it. So I'm going to press CD desktop, enter. So now as you can see on the command line, it was written Gabriel's MacBook Air. Now it's at the desktop keyword was added. Now I'm going to do CD JetUML underscore setup, enter. Now, as you can see, now I'm in the JetUML setup folder. This is very important. Make sure to navigate to that folder because otherwise it won't work. Now, once you're here, you're just going to paste the line of code that we had earlier. And you're going to change the JetUML file here at the very end with JetUML. I'm just going to go take a look at the name. So it's going to be JetUML -3.8 .jar. If you didn't change the file name, you should have the same name as I do. If you change it, then input whatever you changed it to. Please take note, if you left these files on your desktop and you're not in a specific file, then you're just going to navigate to the desktop. You're not going to open any form of folder. You're just going to navigate to the desktop and do what I'm doing right now. So you're going to put the name there at the very end. Then we're going to come all the way back here. And over here where it's written path to JavaFX lib, we're going to erase all of that. And now, this is going to vary depending on where you put your file. But for me, I have my lib file inside of the JUML setup folder. So to start, you're going to type in /users/username. So in my case, my username is Gabriel Unger. For you, it's probably going to be something else. To figure out what your username is, you can just go open up the command line and just write who am I as a single word, all in lowercase. And what outputs when you run who am I as one word should be your username. So once you take that username, you're going to replace it over here. So in my case, since my username is Gabriel Unger, I place that. In your case, it may be John Doe. You're going to put John Doe. And before I forget, make sure to remove the W from the Java. So there's Java W, just remove the W. Now back to the path. Users Gabriel. The next thing I'm going to put is desktop. Why? Because my folder is on my desktop. So I'm going to navigate to desktop. Then I'm going to add JetUML setup because that's where the folder is. That's where the file is. So I'm going to put JetUML underscore setup /. And now in the setup folder, I'm going to try to go inside of JavaFX SDK23. So go ahead and add that. It's going to be JavaFX SDK23. And then finally, we're going to put /lib. Now, if you press enter, theoretically, if everything went well, your JUML opens. If the JUML didn't open for whatever reason, then something went wrong. But if it opens, then you're all good. And essentially, just so you understand what's happening, here at the very top where I put /user/username, etc., I'm basically inputting the path to JavaFX folder and specifically inside of the lib folder. It's very important. So wherever you have this JavaFX folder set up, make sure to put that path to lead to inside of the lib folder right here, as you can see on the screen. So this folder right here. Now, once that works, the hard part is done effectively. Now it's the easy part. We're just gonna open the search bar and create a text edit file. So you're gonna write text edit, and you can add it to the desktop. Okay, and over here, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna change the file to turn it into a plain file. So we're gonna go on format at the very top, make plain text. So we're gonna change it to that. Now the text edit should look like this now. First thing we're going to add to the file is going to be the shebang. So it's going to be shebang bin bash, like this. And then we're gonna go return to the command line. And if you press the arrow up, it's going to give you the previous command that you just ran. In my case, it's exactly the command that I need to copy. In your case, maybe you ran something else. So just make sure to get this long command. Make sure that the command that you're copying, when you run it in your terminal, it actually opens JUML. If it doesn't open JUML, then there's no point to copy it. In my case, when I enter this, it opens JUML. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it within this untitled folder. Now I'm going to press X on it, and it's going to ask me to save it. I'm going to save it to the desktop, like I said, for the purpose of the tutorial. And I'm going to save it as JetUML script _ script. One thing that's important to note, so let me just move my face. All right, JUML script. One thing that's important to note, if in the path over here, you have, let's say, /users / your username and then /desktop, and then the next folder that you're going to put there, let's say it's comp303, for example. If the name of the folder is comp space 303, then you might have some issues. Make sure to remove the spaces in the folder names and replace them with underscores. Whatever the folder name is, just remove the space because it might mess up the code. So make sure that the code runs and executes and it works all fine. Once the script is added to your desktop or wherever you want, you're going to go ahead and put it wherever else on your computer you want to place it. So in my case, I'm going to put it in the JetUML setup folder. And then on the command line, make sure to navigate exactly to the location where you put your script. So in my case, I put the script inside of JetUML setup. If you put your script on your desktop, then make sure to navigate to your desktop. And to know where you are on your computer, you just look at the terminal command line right here. And this last argument over here is going to tell you where you are. In my case, I'm inside of the folder. Now to double check that the script is in fact in that folder, press ls, type in ls and enter, and it's going to list all the files inside of this folder. So as you can see, JUML script.txt just happens to be there because that's where I placed it. So we're going to go ahead and copy this name, and then in the terminal you're going to type chmod +x, and then you're going to paste the name of the script. And when you press enter, you shouldn't have any error messages. If you have any error messages, then something went wrong. If you don't, then you're good. And over here, there should be the script file, and it should all be good. Now, to test that this modification actually worked, stay within the folder that you are, where the script is located, and then you're going to type // and you're going to type in the name of the script. So in my case, it's JetUML _ script. If you press tab, if you're in the correct location on your computer, if you press tab, it should automatically fill out the rest of the name. And when you press return on this, if everything goes well, your JetUML should open as it did on my computer right here. So just to reiterate, you're going to type in /JetUML and then the name of your script. Now, if this works, everything is going good. So you're good. Now, the last thing that we're going to do effectively is press the search button and open Automator. On your Mac, just allow this. I don't know what they're asking me. On your Mac, you're going to go on File, New, and you're going to open the Automator. You should get to this screen. When you're on this screen specifically, you're going to press on Application. And on Application, you're going to press Choose, okay? And you should be here. You should have this screen. Over here, now the next thing that we're going to do is type in run shell, and a run shell script should automatically appear. You're going to double tap on that, and then this should open. Once this opens, make sure to change the shell to be bin bash. It's very important. Change it to bin bash. Now, once that's complete, the first thing that you're going to type is going to be cd. So we're going to type cd. And now this really depends on where you put your setup folder. Or sorry, it depends on where you put the script. But generally speaking, it's good to have everything bunched up in the setup folder. And in my case, I'm going to type in cd desktop /JetUML _ setup. What this is basically doing is it's opening that folder specifically. If you put your JetUML setup inside of another folder and inside of another folder, then make sure to type in the full path to that folder. So for just as an example, if let's say I had another folder called tester, and I put JetUML setup inside of tester, I would do desktop /tester /JUML setup. But I don't have that, so it means just desktop /JUML setup. Now I'm gonna bring this back and delete this. Now at this point, the next thing that you're going to put in this, once you put the file path, is you're going to type /, and you're going to input the name of the script. Now it's very important that you type the full name. So in my case, it's JetUML underscore script, and make sure there are no typos. If there's a typo, you're gonna have a mistake and it won't work. JetUML script. Now, if I run this, it will not work. Why? Because you have to make sure to add the .txt extension to the file. If your file is .something else, put that. Generally speaking, if you follow this tutorial, it's going to be .txt. Now, when you run the shell, the script, JUML opens. Wonderful. And now the last thing you're going to do, is you're going to press on X, and you're going to save it as JetUML. You can name the application whatever you want, but that's the name of the app. Save it. Everything, you could just close everything right now. And if I move my face, I have JetUML right here. So now if I press on JetUML for the first time, it's going to ask me to allow it. You're going to allow it. And automatically, it's going to open JetUML. Now the next time you open it, it's just going to open directly. As a last note, for those who arrived to this point in the tutorial and are going to try to move the setup folder from their desktop to another location, or from another location to another location, if you do this, the JetUML application will no longer run. And the reason being is because at multiple steps in the tutorial, I told you to input a specific file path. So in my case, the file path that I put was desktop /JUML setup / whatever else I had to add. Now, if I decide to move this setup folder elsewhere, then those paths are no longer valid because the folder is no longer located where it was originally. So now if you move it, it won't work anymore. Essentially what I'm saying is if you want to move this folder elsewhere and you want to fix the program so that it opens JUML, just make sure to go back in the tutorial and modify the file paths accordingly based on where you now moved it. So yeah, at this point everything should work correctly, and I hope this video was helpful.